Hi, this is Eisha, or you may know me better as Anita from What the Folks or Malika from Official CEO Giri, and now as Sonali from the Great Indian Dysfunctional Family. And I'm here to talk to you about my work with WebFare.live. I came to Bombay 4 years ago. It took me a really long time to actually make the decision to act professionally. I've been doing theatre since I was a little kid. My first play was when I was 6 years old or something, but it was always something I wanted to do. It was always something I wanted as a part of my life. And so now I've just finished 4 years in Bombay. And I'd been doing a lot of modeling, and I'd been working in ads and things like that, doing auditions. Soon after that, I got Neerja, and since then it's been, onward and upward since then. So I think that being on stage is I would say it's an entirely different medium, even though one says, you're acting, but there's a different intimacy with the camera. Because when you're on stage, your real journey is in your rehearsals. So whatever happens on stage on that day kind of depends on how everyone else around you is feeling, how your audience is reacting, and your real work has gone into your preparation. So it's a lot more pure in that sense of acting. I think I respond a little more naturally to the camera because that's what I've been doing for the last few years. And to me, storytelling happens with the camera actually. Whereas when you're on stage, you're getting a constant feedback from the audience. You can, whether they're laughing or they're clapping, of course, that's a little more obvious, but you can sense the feedback as it's happening. And you can also adjust your performance as it's happening. You know that this particular set of people is responding to this. And so you can always adjust that. And I think for me, that's the basic difference actually. It's just with the intimacy that you have. Neerja was a really interesting experience because when we shot, for my part was mainly on the plane. We had a couple of scenes when we got off the plane, but we were 200 people sitting on this plane. I was told that I was managing first class, and we were just, what was really interesting about that was actually kind of similar to a play because we weren't directed like that. A lot of it was just that you go there and you see what comes to you naturally, the fear that came to you naturally, the boredom that came to you naturally. It was 18 hours on a plane after all, the actual length of the story. So you're not in pure terror all times. And the experience of Neerja was very interesting for that reason because we didn't know what was going to happen today. So you really sort of relied a lot on your instinct and your reflexes. The script was loose. The dialogues were up to us. As in, of course, we had a full proper bound script, but the director Advani was very open to us making changes. Lots of different things could happen. So that was, it was really interesting, and wearing the same costume every day, but every day you're getting a little more disheveled. Every day your makeup is getting a little more smeared. But you still come home and then you go back and now you're once again a terrorized air hostess. I think that, I'll be very honest with you, I don't watch TV. In fact, I cut off my cable connection. So I watch a lot more web series than I watch TV. So I think that for someone like me, what's happening in the web is a lot more relevant because those characters are closer to me. What's going to happen is that the kind of shows you see on TV will start making their way to the web. So I don't think that kind of TV content as we understand in India is going anywhere. But I'm hoping that the type of web content we have, the audience will start moving and shifting a little bit, and they'll start wanting to see slightly broader stories. So I think after a while, we're not going to be saying TV show or web show. No one's going to be waiting at Friday 5 o'clock to watch this show because soon enough the whole world will become like that. They'll want everything on their fingertips. So the one time that I have was involved as a writer and an actor was on the show for Star Plus by Nikhil Advani. It was called Prisoners of War, and it was a remake of Hatufim, which is what Homeland was based on. And it was very funny because I actually joined as an actor, and while I was on set for a couple of weeks, they realized they needed another writer on board. And since I was always on set, then I was hired as a writer. Of course, I thought that it would be great because I could keep writing more scenes for myself in there, but I just got more involved in the writing. It was really interesting. I've never written like that because we were churning out stuff very quickly because it's a daily show. So sometimes I would get there at 5 o'clock in the morning, get into my makeup, which would take 1 hour, get into costume, all of that, and then I'd be sitting in some lehenga with a bunch of other writers who are, and we're sitting and writing. Then suddenly I'd be called for a shot, I'd run, do the shot, come back and keep writing. Sometimes I've had my laptop like at the shot and I was writing. I spent a whole year with that. It was interesting. I don't see myself doing that again, but I'm glad I had that experience because I knew the show so well. The last thing I worked on, which was 3 weeks ago, was TGDIF, which was Great Indian Dysfunctional Family. As an actor, I just got to do so much. Like I was just playing, and so I think that would be my favorite one. I hate product placement. There's nothing, the moment that I have to do product placement on any show is a moment that I want to just have the ground open and fall right through it. I think it's handled very carelessly. We already knew each other quite well before we did the show together. He's a fabulous actor, and we had some preparation before that show. We did a lot of acting exercises. The interesting thing about this relationship was that these two weren't married, they were divorced. So these two characters were playing lovers and they were, opposite each other, but they weren't actually, technically they weren't with each other. And he plays this dysfunctional guy with all these disorders, and Malika is a healer. But she's always freaking out herself as well. So that was interesting. And chemistry actually is interesting because it doesn't, there's a moment that you suddenly feel like you have a chemistry with someone. With some people it happens instantly because you're similar, and with some people you have to just work a little bit and you find it. So my general view on awards is that an award doesn't change your process with what happened for you as an actor on the show. What an award is that you got some recognition, and it's like saying that I got this, there was this wonderful ice cream, I ate it, and now someone put a cherry on top. And it's great to be recognized, and it's a nice feeling of validation. So I think that whatever actually helps get good content out and pushes it, it's great. A platform that actually puts, which is focusing on web content, because like I said, I think in a few years we won't be calling it web content. So right now what this medium needs is audience. And the only way that this kind of stuff, this content, these kinds of stories can become more popular is when more people start watching them. So if you guys are doing that, that's great, and hopefully we can all reach out to each other when the time comes to promote our shows further and help each other out.